Welcome back everyone. Today's video is about my all-time favourite, pretty much secret, crazy snapper rig. I have caught multiple 20-pound snapper on this rig, and since I'm not down south anymore, I'm not fishing for snapper, I thought I'd just gonna release it for you guys. It is a fantastic rig. It does work really well for snapper, squire, pinkies down south, if you're right down south, squire, southern Queensland, to catching large 20-pound plus fish. It works so well. I'll even tell you the bait I use on it. It's not your stock standard bait either. Okay, so what we're going to do is just make this rig. So let's get into it, guys. It is a float lining rig, so nothing special there. Okay, just a couple of things I do is a little bit different, and it works really well, especially late afternoon into night or really early mornings. Okay, so let's get into it. When I'm making this rig too, I'm not fishing for, generally fishing for squire, so I'm not going out to bag out on small fish. I'm not running 20-pound leaders or 15-pound leaders or any of that. I'm going out chasing 8, 10, 12 kilo fish. So, and like I said, I'm fishing night time, early morning to daybreak or late afternoon into the night. So I usually run a Black Magic 40 pound. But since I run out, I can't make it with that, so we'll use a 60. But when I'm making this rig for snapper, I use 40. 40 is good, and it doesn't shy the fish away. Okay. So when I'm making float lining rigs, I usually run a couple of meters a leader, but I won't waste all my line today. I'm just showing you the rig. Okay. So I'll just do a little bit. So usually a couple of meters I like to run, 40 pound, and supple. The hook's a choice. When I'm snapper fishing, I always tend to go 5/0s. I've used 4/0s, 3/0s, 6/0s, 8/0s. I've used all different sizes, but I find that 5/0s are just a good all-round hook for small fish and large fish. And being the BKK, they're very strong, they're very sharp. You'll catch squire to large fish. They don't straighten, and you don't miss that many fish. So it's really good. They're really good hooks. I just find a 5/0 a really good size. Okay, so for this rig, we'll just start off with. So we'll just tie the bottom hook on. Okay, just use a uni knot or whatever knot you tie. I use the uni. So I'm just gonna tie the bottom one on. And we'll talk about the bait in a second as well. You can use pilchards on this rig, but not whole pilchards. I say 3/4 to like half to 3/4. But I find float lining, especially on daybreak and late afternoon stuff, you get a lot of pickers and smaller fish, and it drives me nuts. So there's another bait I use. It's very good. So uni knot. Now, here's where I go. I'm a bit different. I use limo tube. So usually you can go buy a very small diameter limo tube. Okay, and that's a couple inches long. So I'll put that on next. You've seen me use limo tube and stuff on lots of things, but I use this on my float lining rig, and it works an absolute treat. So you got your hook, you got your limo tube. Now we're just going to snell the top hook on. But when I'm doing this one, you can see where the limo tube finishes, and the bottom of the hook is there, just here. I sort of line the two up so they're about yay. So basically the limo tube can go one hook to the other hook. It covers all the line in the middle. Okay. And the baits I use can be quite large, so because snapper don't mind, especially big snapper don't mind big baits, guys. They really don't. You don't have to always use a half a pilly or something small. And it knocks out, using bigger baits, knocks out all the pickers and smaller fish. And if they do pick away at it, they're picking away forever. So you don't have to wind it up after a couple of picks. So just snell that hook on. Okay, so now we've got two hooks snelled on. Now, back to the usual way, and put our little rubber bead on. I've got my little bead there, okay. So this thing is really well and truly dressed up. Now your little sinker, depending on the current and the depth, you're going to have to change your sinker. I've talked about this so many times over the years for snapper, but you won't know that until you get out there. So once we're out there and I start float lining, I can change the sinkers 6, 8, 10 times to go through all different sizes until I get the drift I really want. I don't want to go too fast, I don't want to go too slow, I just want to go down nice and slowly through the water column. And you know when you've got the right sinker on, you'll start getting hits. Okay, so that's basically my secret snapper rig. I have talked about this rig a long time ago, but that thing just works so well on big snapper. It's like I said, especially early morning when it's still dark, coming up to daybreak, or late afternoon going into the night. That is a really good rig, and this really works well when you're on your favourite grounds, when you're on your outside edge, like I've talked about on the Gold Coast. We fish like the outside edge of the reef. It seems to be the snapper highway. They like to sit on the outside edge or the bottom edge, not so much on the top. And yes, your float liner with your bait caster. Once again, I love me bait casters for float lining. So I can just stand there, push the thumb bar down, just feed line out, just feed line out, feed line, let it sink slowly. This rig just on dark, or just after dark or before sunrise, here's the catch. When you're chasing big fish, you don't get many bites doing this, but when you do, it's generally a big fish. We use yakkers, but not whole yakkers. Cut them in half. Okay guys? So cut the yakkers in half. I cut them on a bit of an angle, and make sure you just cut open the gut cavity, and on a bit of an angle up. Okay, so end of the gut cavity, so basically where his butt is, start cutting there and cut on an angle towards his tail. Okay? Just open the gut cavity up, it'll let out all the juices. And the whole idea of this thing is that hook, once again through the nose or through the eyes. I'd go through the nose, or you can go through the bottom of the jaw, up through the top of the bony part of his head. And with this hook, down as far as you can get it, near the cut-off point, but just lightly under the skin. So I'll just go in, pierce the skin a little bit and pull it back out, so it's sitting sideways like this. So it looks like that in the fish. Just slightly under the skin, and with the whole barb and point sticking out of the flesh on the opposite side. So I'll have the top hook there, okay, facing one way through the nose, and then I'll have the bottom hook facing out the other side of the flesh. So you got one hook all the way, so it's like so. Okay, with say a 3/4 yakker, half a yakker to 3/4. So like I said, start cutting on the butt, cut towards the tail on an angle. You can put that one a fair way back, this one through its nose, both facing opposite ways, and float line with that. And if you're chasing big fish, that's what this video is about. It's about big fish. So guys, need patience. Then it's not going to jump on straight away. You're not chasing squire, even though squire will eat this, don't worry. And so will dewies and cobia and yada yada yada. All them, they'll have a crack at it too if you get close enough to the bottom. But for big snapper, this with yakkers, cut it on an angle. The hook's the way I just showed you, and stand on the boat, float lining. Be patient and float line. It might take a couple of hours, but if you're on the outside edge of the reef or the southern edge of the reef and keep float lining, if there's a snapper in the area, a big one, you'll have a crack. And it's a good way to find really big fish. And I'm not sure what it is exactly with this rig, but I found the Lumo snapper don't mind a bit of Lumo. The colour doesn't seem to worry them. So I put it on there as a attractant. And the other reason I put it on there is, I've talked about it before, it's a protector. You have such a big gap here between your hooks and your line, and snapper have got crushing jaws. They can do a lot of damage to your mono, and so can dewies, their raspy teeth and everything else. So I put that on. It's a protector, and it's well, a tractor, so it works both ways. And the bead there, we all know the bead stops the tinging on the hook. And it's a bit of a dress up, and just, yeah, it looks good for us. I don't know if the fish care or not, they might, who knows. But it looks good, it works well. It's my all-time favourite rig. On a 20-pound bait caster, out and around 30 metres of water. Like I said, early morning, late afternoon. Using fresh yakkers, don't go buy ones out of the shop that's been frozen for 6 months. Go out and catch your own, put them in the fridge overnight. Or if you're frozen, but just make sure they're relatively fresh. They're like within a week or so old, not old. You don't want them out of the freezer in the shops. They're 6 months old. Slimies also work really well, but slimies are a bit more oily, so they'll attract a lot more pickers. But they do work well, same sort of deal. Cut them in half from the butt. Okay, slimies work alright, but being a lot oilier, they'll attract a lot more pickers than yakkers. And they'll fall apart quicker. But yakkers seem to be the go. And surprisingly, pike aren't bad either. If you catch a pike, do the same thing with a pike. Snapper don't mind pike, okay? And well, never the dewies. So pike's a good one. Slimies are a good one, but the main one I use is yakkers. Not as many bites, but when it goes, it's bigger fish. Okay. So hope that one helps you guys, and you know, go out and get your PB snapper. If you catch your PB, let me know in the comments how big and if they're on this rig. That'd be nice to know. And once again, guys, if you like what I'm doing with the videos, the tips and tricks, give me a thumbs up and a like. Subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out, and I very much appreciate it. And I'll see you again next week with another video. I'm guessing on snapper again. I think I'm doing a couple on snapper. Then we'll change to dewies or something else and do the rigs and baits for them. But anyway, guys, enough rattling on. I'll see you again shortly.